Okay, so welcome to Dracula Unleashed. Let's get started. I have the Sega CD version of this game, but I couldn't find the first disc. But I also own the game on DOS, which is what we're going to be playing now. So I'm actually going to be playing this through DOSBox, which is a free DOS emulator that you can get on your computer. So I'm just reading it off the disc, which I have installed right here. And there we go. Perfect. So cover obviously looks very different from what you would get on the Sega CD, but it works just as well. I've gone through this once before, and I failed at the very last scene on disc 4 because I must have done something wrong. But you can see right here, mounting my C drive. I've already put in commands so that I can save the game. I had to mount another drive. I have an external drive so I can save, and we're going to get started. So here we go, Dracula. Very foreboding opening. I don't know what this song is called, but I see it all over the place. So I'm going to skip this part because it's just rather dull.
I wish you were here now, Quincy. You were always there for me when I needed you. Even now, it's your friends who've made me strong enough to carry out what I must do. First, it was Father Janos who started me on this agonizing task. Now, with the aid of your old allies, it looks like we'll end this horrible scourge. So much has happened these past few days.
Mr. Alexander Morris.
Thank you. Alexander. Arthur, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your kindness while I've been in your city. And now for you to sponsor me in London's most prestigious club.
Nonsense. Your brother and I were extremely close. Here, let me introduce you to some of the other members of the Hades Club. Devlin. Alexander, I'd like you to meet Devlin Goldacre. Devlin Alexander Morris. I believe I've mentioned his late brother Quincy.
Yes, you have. Mr. Goldacre, this certainly is a pleasure. It will be an honor to be accepted into your club.
So, this is the brother of the famous Quincy Morris. I suppose even London isn't big enough for more than one Texan at a time. What brings you here?
Well, it's an unusual story, really. I received a letter from a Romanian priest telling me I should investigate the circumstances surrounding my brother's stabbing.
Ah, your Romanian priest couldn't have directed you to a more peculiar city. And now, with the murders in the newspapers...
Oh, do shut up, Leopold. Never mind our Czechoslovakian drunk and his ramblings. So, how long have you been in our fair city?
Well, a number of months, actually. I got a bit sidetracked from my investigation when I met Anisette. Since we became engaged and her father took ill, I really haven't had the time to pursue the matter further.
Yes, well, I can see how Anisette could have that effect on a man.
Excuse me, sirs. I have a message for Mr. Morris.
For me? Thank you. Good Lord. It's a note from Mr. Bowen's doctor. Mr. Bowen has just suffered a fatal heart attack. I have sedated Miss Bowen and would appreciate your presence tomorrow morning.
I'm terribly sorry.
Perhaps I should go home. I could do with some rest as well. Pardon me.
Death is such a dreadful business.
Anisette?
Oh, Alexander.
Anisette, you must let him go. Andrew is gone.
I know, but it's so hard. I miss him so.
Let me call the doctor to remove his body. The sooner he's in the ground, the sooner his soul can rest.
You think that death can take her from me?
Oh, Daddy.
Anisette! No!
Well, it was a very peculiar dream. So You essentially play a character who is obviously in London trying to investigate the murder of his brother. He said he's been there for several months, fell in love with this young woman, Anisette, and they're already engaged. I don't know, and that's a pretty quick time to get married if you ask me, but to each their own, I say. So like I said, we're going to be going through this game again. I tried doing one Let's Play before. I looked at 2 different strategy guides, and somewhere along the line they were just both wrong. So I'm trying another one at gameboomers.com, and I'll link to it in the bottom of the video too. So the DOS version, not radically different from the Sega CD version. I'll actually cover some of the differences here in just a moment. But between these video scenes, I can keep a journal, and I'll often do this so that between saves I can keep track of what I was doing.
From joining the Hades Club to hearing about Andrew's death, I do not believe I've ever had a more eventful evening, nor do I ever hope to again. And on top of everything else, a most disturbing dream.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird dream. So I can keep journal entries after every event I click on. I can go over here to addresses, and here's the locations that I can go to when I hop into my horse and carriage. We also have a clock so that we can advance time, and certain elements or video clips can only be activated at certain times. I also have telegraphs, so I might have letters that come for me from time to time. I can fall asleep here. But for now, let's exit this scene. First thing I want to do is take a carriage to Anisette's house. So I click on this over here. What I'm going to do the first few times, I'm going to keep the carriage sound on so you kind of get the gist of it, and then I'm going to turn it off.
And what part of our beautiful city would you like to see today, sir?
Okay, go to my addresses. Let's go to Anisette's.
I'd like to go to 10 Campden Hill. Notting Hill, please.
And by the way, I just recently discovered that you can actually
We're here,
turn
sir.
off this whole dialogue back and forth, and it really speeds up the game.
Good day, driver.
Good day.
So I click on the homes. And what I always thought was really cool about this game is the art. Definitely has a bit of atmosphere about it, but the music as a whole just kind of sucks you in.
Alexander, I'm so glad you're here.
Shh, it's all right. Where's the doctor?
He's gone. He said it was a heart attack brought on by shock.
Shock? An open window in this weather? I shall have to talk with Miss Culpepper.
Oh, Alexander, I'm so tired. Why do things have to go away? Why can't all the things we love stay forever?
So let's see what you have to say about that.
I went to comfort Anisette in her time of grief. Poor Andrew. I cannot forget his face. Horrible. Locked in sheer terror, and white as the odd bit of cloth clutched in his hand.
Yeah. So this actually isn't the cleanest version of the game either. It's not radically different from the Sega CD. I mean, obviously there are more colors. The Sega CD was very limited in what it could do because it can only have a total of 512 colors, but only 64 on screen at once, which is very difficult when you're trying to do something with video in particular. So let's head off to our next location. But first, I actually want to turn off this whole sound and animation for travel. It just takes quite a while. So let's click on this. We're going to go to the Hades Club so we can learn a little bit more about this. And see, no sounds, and I'm just there. But another difference between this game and the other versions, there's actually a DVD version that was released, like a remastered version, in about 2002, which has much, much cleaner footage. It's full screen, where this is obviously still like postage stamp size. Again, a limitation of the hardware at the time.
Morris, isn't it?
Mr. Goldacre.
Indulge my curiosity. Why has Arthur sponsored you into our distinguished club? What in the world makes you think you belong?
A gift, really, because of his friendship with my brother.
Do you know how old this club is?
Now, Arthur tells me that it dates to the turn of the century.
He's wrong. It's far older than that. Typical of you Americans. You can't think any farther back than your own whelp history.
Age is no indication of virtue. Take your immortal institution here. What does Hades Club mean, anyway?
It's rather obvious. Abandon all hope, ye who enter. We're in hell, my boy.
Okay, not very welcoming, huh? So, we obviously got sponsored into this gentleman's club, but Devlin Goldacre does not seem to appreciate having us there. So let's go to visit Arthur Homewood. See what he has to say.
Arthur is busy just now. I'm sure he'll be with you in a moment.
Yes, he was my carriage driver. I had sent him to deliver this package and was beginning to wonder about his late return.
Well, where was this package bound, sir?
To the residence of Mr. Jonathan Harker. That's 56, Rochester, Marble Arch. It was a gift for his son, young Quincy.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Well, I suppose this belongs to you, then. We found it by the body. Decapitation is a most horrible crime. Strange. There's no accounting for the blood loss.
Sounds like someone was decapitated, but there was no blood to be found afterwards. That's peculiar. And Jonathan Harker, that name may sound familiar to fans of Dracula, because he was actually the protagonist in the book or the film, if you've seen it before. So this game, you'll see as it goes on, essentially serves as like a sequel of sorts to Dracula as a whole. But also it kind of fills in the gaps or allows you to presume that this is also about Jack the Ripper as time goes on too, because you'll see more murders happening and draining of blood and slitting throats, or there's really just things that you hear about as the game goes on. Let's take a note, see what they have to say.
What a grisly shock. I went to visit Arthur Homewood only to discover that his coachman had been killed, decapitated, with complete loss of blood. I cut my visit short, but not before learning Jonathan Harker's address.
How do you explain that? Okay, so you notice another key thing here. We can also get some items we may have missed during the dialogue here. So things like Jonathan Harker's address. So it kind of gives us a hint of the next location we could possibly go to. So let's hop back to our carriage. Let's go visit Harker home, see what they have to say.
Those are beautiful flowers, Mrs. Harker.
Why, thank you, Mr. Morris. Well, I do love roses. They remind me of someone I once knew. Fragile, beautiful, and dangerous. And how
Dracula,
are you, Mr. Morris?
perhaps?
Well, I'm fine, but I'm worried about my fiancée, Anisette. Her father, Andrew Bowen, just passed away.
Oh, how terrible.
I'm sorry to hear it. I knew Mr. Bowen from business affairs.
Poor Anisette.
Well, I should tell her you send your condolences. But I'm afraid that's not all. The Homewood's carriage man has been, well, murdered. He was on his way to deliver a present to little Quincy, who was found decapitated, his body drained of blood.
Mina, have you looked in on Quincy?
Not for a while, no.
Perhaps you should.
All right.
I'm sorry, Mr. Morris, but I have some pressing matters which I must attend to.
But I wanted to talk to you about...
If you wish to talk business, then come to my office.
Perhaps he is hiding something? He also gave us a note, so that might tell us the address of his
I went to the
office.
Harkers to
Let's find
inform
out.
them of the bad news. I found it odd that Jonathan seemed more disturbed by the death of a stranger than that of Andrew Bowen.
Okay. So Quincy is obviously, or the gentleman they named before is obviously their son. The package is on the way to be delivered to him, and the carriage driver was kind of killed. So more foreboding information. Let's go to the newsstand and see what we can find out about the day's events.
That paper's not for a weak order today, of those who loses their heads easily. Right messy it is. That fella with his head cut off and all, his blood gone. Ugh. I needs a drink instead of Saucy Jack when this day's over.
Saucy Jack?
Haven't you heard of it, Gov? The best pub in the Strand. Me mouth is watering already for a mug of Rebecca's ale.
Okay, now we have another location we can go to, and that's the Saucy Jack Pub.
I found some curious articles in the paper and pasted them below.
But each day when you go to the newspaper stand, you can grab some articles like this. So murder victim. So most foul murder was committed on the West End last evening. Right? It says it's kind of hard for me to read this text on this screen at least. Victim's head was left near the body. Oddly enough, no blood was found in the scene. So, okay, another murder, decapitation, and no blood. I think we're noticing a trend here. Retirement. Okay, so someone's gone retirement, gave ill health reason. Sherman was replaced by previous chief accountant Oswald Mason, whose mysterious murder was solved by the consulting detective Sherlock Holmes. Now, this is a bit of, I'll give a bit of insight as to this. So, the same development team who made this also made Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, which was a full-motion video game that helped launch the Sega CD as well as other FMV platforms of its time. The game also appeared on the 3DO, also on DOS, TurboGrafx, I believe the Philips CDI. So it's really all over the place. So it's interesting to see the team kind of share some of their work. And mysterious livestock deaths. So it looks like some sheep and cattle corpses drained of their blood. It's a lot of blood loss over here, right? Something is starting to happen. So got the newspaper stand. Let's head over to the telegraph office and we can actually send a message. So if I go in empty-handed, I'm going to see one video. Let's try that out.
Hello.
Good day, sir.
Name's Alexander Morris. Are there any telegrams for me?
No, sir. Any telegrams will be delivered promptly to their recipient.
I see. Thank you.
So now I know if I need to pick up a telegram, I can always go home. But if I want to send something out, I need to actually put something into my hands. So this is where this game kind of differs from a lot of other FMV titles out there. It's really a point-and-click adventure more than anything else. So before, I received Jonathan Harker's letter or note. Let's click on this.
This is the calling card for Jonathan Harker's office in St. Paul's.
Okay, now I know where he is. And also, this
is Father Janos' calling card. He lives in Bistritz, Romania.
Remember, he was the one who got us started on this whole adventure. So if I want to send a message to him, I can actually put this in my hand, close this out, and now.
Hello. I'd like to send an overseas telegram, please.
And what is the destination, sir?
Bistritz.
Bistritz.
In Romania.
In Romania.
And later on I can get a message from this. If I go back home. Let's go to Goldacre and Homer's bookstore. Actually, I gotta go to the Saucy Jack Pub first. Might be a little early for a drink, but you never know. What time is it anyway?
11:40 a.m.
Yeah, too early for me.
Hello, sir. How's the day treating you?
That could be better.
Oh, I hate to see one of me customers in the mopes. Tell you what, you give me your name and I'll get you a mug of ale on the house.
Wow, Alexander Morris, at your service.
My name's Rebecca Eaton. I'm the owner of this fine establishment.
Oh, careful. This one, Becky, is moody. Could be the murderer.
Oh, keep your mouth shut. Don't mind them. They scared. Count of all the people being killed. Real unnatural-like, too. Heads cut off and the bodies all dry of blood.
Hey, I'd lose my head for you, Becky.
Oh, go on.
Strange killings, they is. That woman in white been seen all over London. It's like that Bloofer lady years ago.
Bloofer? What kind of name is that?
Never heard the like afore or since. She's a woman what bit youngins on the neck.
Where'd you hear this?
I read it in a book. I was delivering a bunch of them to that bookstore in King's Cross. What's it called? Let's see. My noggin's gone all rusty. Goldstein and Horn, Goldfield.
Goldacre?
Yay, that's it. Goldacre and Horner.
I have another place I can go investigate. So you saw that little still that was an image kind of showing him, going and dropping off books. In the remastered version of this game on the DVD, those are actually all removed. You'll see several of them throughout this game.
I found my way to the Saucy Jack, a pub full of local gossips. The regulars were eager for an audience, and I was told of the grisly murders and the eerie Bloofer lady.
The Bloofer lady. Okay, so let's go check out this bookstore. So, when I first played the DOS version, I bought this about a year ago at a yard sale for $1, along with a bunch of other PC games. So, first time I played this was actually last week when I couldn't find the first disc for my Sega CD version that I bought 20 years ago. So, I'm trying to figure out how this works. I'm like, how do I get to more. Right? I want to see more addresses. Click, click, click. 1, maybe 2. What the heck? Click on this. Nope, nothing. Oh, I've got to go on this button right here, this little exact spot. Hit next, and now it will bring me there. Terrible, terrible UX. Let's confirm. Now let's go to this bookstore.
May I help you?
Mr. Horner? Alexander Morris. Mr. Homewood has sponsored me into the Hades Club. I understand your partner's also a member?
Oh, yes. Devlin mentioned you. It will be a pleasure having you in our club. What brings you to my little bookstore?
Well, this might sound a little bit strange, but I've been told you have a book about the Bloofer lady.
The Bloofer lady? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. She would appear as a beautiful ghost-like woman with a horrible practice. She would summon children only to return them later, some on the verge of death. The children would call her Bloofer instead of Beautiful. Yes, bears a striking resemblance to some other cases I know of.
How much do I owe you?
A gift from one Lord of Hell to another.
From the library of Dr. John Seward, Purfleet Asylum.
So I think he's also in the Hades Club. I was never really sure about that, and I think that's why he's talking about one Lord of Hell to the other. But now we also have another person we can talk to, Dr. Jonathan Seward.
Well, I do believe I've found the most curious bookstore in London. I've never seen such an odd collection of books. Horner certainly seems to know his business when it comes to ghastly legends.
Okay, so let's get out of here, and we are going to go to this asylum that we just got the address for. Let's see what's happening over there.
What do you want?
Alexander Morris to see Dr. Seward.
The doctor's busy. The loonies is acting up. Now go away. Grab him! Here, take this. You may need it. I'll see if the doctor gets your car.
I guess you could just club people in the back of the head back then. I'm not really sure. I don't know how asylums work, but that definitely seems like one different solution.
It seems that Dr. Seward is a busy man. I couldn't see him today because his loonies are acting up. Perhaps I'll try him again later tonight.
Okay, and I don't know if you noticed, but he also gave me something. Let's take a look. And that was our blackjack.
This blackjack seems to be quite a deterrent against lunatics.
That is foreshadowing because it'll come into play later on. So let's go back to Homewood's place of residence and see what we can find over there. And I should be clear, there's actually a map to see how all this is laid out too. You see, and the idea is that it'll tell you how long it takes to get from location to location. This is important, again, because certain events only occur at certain times throughout the game. So let's click on somewhere like the Strand.
It seems it will take 5 minutes to travel within the Strand. By carriage, it will take 20 minutes to go from the Strand to King's Cross.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm here to see Mr. Homewood.
I'm afraid Mr. Homewood is presently unavailable.
And the issue is because I went too early. So this scene actually cannot be triggered until 3
p.m.
and 10. So let's go.
3 o'clock p.m.
Perfect. Let's try it out now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Arthur isn't here. He's at a meeting with Mr. Strakowski, a fellow member of the club.
Yes, I've met Mr. Strakowski.
He's a rather odd man, but it is so sad. He was such a gifted composer before the death of his wife, Ileana. It was a carriage accident in Europe at a place called Borgo Pass. She was buried in London where her family rests.
She must have been very beautiful.
Oh, yes. Although I never met her. And the ceremony was a closed casket. Well, if you'll excuse me, I must deliver this present to the Harkers.
Well, I'd be glad to do that for you, Mrs. Homewood.
Oh, I thank you. But call me Regina, please.
Okay, so we have a new item we can deliver.
I had a strange conversation with Regina Homewood today. She told me of Leopold Strakowski's tragedy. I feel sorry for him. The death of a loved one is always bitter.
Now, Strakowski is the guy who kind of looks like Dr. Wily. You'll see him several times throughout the game. He has a very long, windy mustache. So let's go to the Hades Club. Let's go talk to Leopold right now. I want you to see who he is.
Mr. Strakowski, how are you?
So, it is the Texan seeking companionship in this time of loss.
No, I just...
You think you know of loss? I lost my wife. Oh, my poor Ilyana. But she is not dead. No, she lives. I have seen her walking in the moonlight.
Get hold of yourself, man.
Ilyana!
Okay, he's a bit of a mess, but he says he sees her walking at night. Kind of reminds me of that Bluefer lady we heard about before.
I went to the Hades Club and had a miserable encounter with Strakowski. He was well into his cups and quite delirious. He believes his dead wife is alive and attempting to communicate with him.
Hey, anything's possible in this game. So let's go to Harker's office. And remember the package we received earlier from Mina? Right, well, why don't we take it and we'll bring it into the office. Whoops, let me hear what he has to say.
This gift was meant to be delivered to little Quincy Harker.
So what else I thought was weird is, so there's Quincy Morris and Quincy Harker. Quincy seems to be a very popular name.
Regarding our previous agreement...
He's using a dictaphone. That'll come into play later on.
How can I help you?
I'm delivering this for the Homewoods. It was the gift that Coachman was taking to Quincy before he...
Yes, well, thank you very much.
I've come on personal business as well. I feel a bit foolish, really. I don't know where to begin. So many strange things that have happened, and, well, I have so many questions concerning...
Yes, well, I appreciate that you think I can help, Mr. Morris, but this is my business office, and I'm quite busy.
I see. I'm sorry to have disturbed you.
Wait.
Okay, he's hiding something.
Mr. Morris, please, I don't wish to appear careless. Here. Take this. A friend of mine gave this to Mina during troubled times. She would like Anisette to have it to comfort her.
Thank you, Mr. Harker.
A cross in troubled times, and he was involved in the first Dracula game. Or I should say, story of Dracula.
I went to speak to Jonathan Harker, but he seemed far more interested in his dictaphone than answering my questions about Quincy. I believe he's avoiding the topic, but he was kind enough to give me a gift for Anisette.
Okay. So, if you haven't read the book Dracula before, I highly recommend it. It is fantastic. In fact, I think the best version that I've come across is what's called the annotated version, and it's done by a gentleman named Leslie Klinger. It's a pretty large book. You can find it on Amazon for about $20 now. But in the alleys or the sidebars of each page, it offers quite a bit of information and exposition as to what's happening in every single scene. So, for example, Jonathan Harker may write a letter that says, I took a train at this time from this location to that. And this author actually went back and checked the train schedules for that time and said, well, really, he couldn't have taken it at this point because the trains just weren't available or weren't running on these days. So it's an incredible amount of detail. That's how I came across the book. And also, the book isn't told in a traditional sense in that it's one protagonist or narrator going through the whole thing. It's actually a series of newspaper clippings and journal articles from several characters that are kind of pieced together, and you as the reader is the only individual with all the information. So it's an interesting book. And overall, I think it's more of a love story than anything else. Hence, Mina Harker's reference before when she was saying, I knew someone, very destructive but thorny like a rose, and that's a reference to Dracula. So, last scene of today. Let's go comfort our dear Anisette at her house. Oh, actually, we still have more in the evening. I apologize.
Come lay your weary, troubled head upon my loving breast. Tomorrow brings the sun again, but now 'tis time to rest. Moonlight hold you safe and warm, your brows the stars caress. Tomorrow brings the sun again, but now 'tis time to rest.
A lovely song.
There you are, leaving poor Anisette alone at a time like this, you cad.
Come sit by me, Alexander. Juliet just stopped by to try and cheer me up. She's offered to spend the night here.
Always a pleasure to see you, Miss Adams. If anyone can make Anisette feel better, it's you.
You know, it's strange. I hate to say it, but last night I had a dream about your father passing away. He was lying there as peaceful as can be. He seemed to look up, and there was a woman standing beside him. She shone like an angel and reached for him. I saw his arms go to her, and all around him was flowing white. And then she turned away, and I woke up. I believe it was an angel come to take him to heaven. I feel her presence all around us. Even this cloth reminds me of my dream. May all of us go as peacefully.
Okay, so we got to see a whole scene there, but I actually forgot to take that cross and put it into my hand. So let's see if it changes if I do that.
I'm so glad Juliet came to visit. Her very presence always seems to hearten Anisette. I just hope Anisette doesn't start having dreams like Juliet.
So let's actually put this into our hands. Maybe I did before?
Hello, Miss Culpepper. I'm here to see Anisette.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Morris. She's not to be disturbed.
Huh. Maybe I don't need to do that? I thought I did. We'll see how that affects things. I hope it doesn't destroy the game for me. We'll see soon enough, I guess. So let's head over to the Saucy Jack Pub now. Probably should have saved before, but...
Good Lord, what was that?
It was a wolf's howl, Governor. That's not a sound you want to be hearing around here. Last time I heard that, it meant death. The Demeter Wolf, they called it. Come off a ghost ship in a storm, sent by the devil himself. Only one still aboard was a captain, dead. The beast fled that damn ship first chance it got, running off to the devil knows where. None of us saw it again till it came after me mate's whales. I was watching from the woods, too far away to help. I seen it coming after him, snarling as loud as all the demons of hell. My knees gave out as I seen it leap at him. And the merciful Lord blessed me, so I wouldn't remember what happened to him. But as I fell, I swear, that wolf reached for Swales with two arms as human as yours or mine. Poor old soul. They never found the beast. Still out there somewhere, waiting for its next victim.
Okay, that did not sound nice at all.
I heard the most interesting story at the Saucy Jack. The old man was actually shaking when he told me about the Demeter Wolf.
Yeah, really. So let's see where else we can go from here.
Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sin.
Alexander. Alexander.
Yep, and this is what I thought would happen.
Oh, Alexander.
I didn't give her the cross
It's late.
before.
What are you doing here?
was so worried about you, Alexander. And I was so lonely.
It's cold. You don't have a coat. Here, take mine.
And you see, that's what happens if I don't give her that cross. But it was silly because I went right back immediately after. And tried doing it and it just didn't work.
Oh no, this tragedy beyond measure. Which you call, who is to save us? Who can destroy Dracula's evil plans? But wait, there is still chance. Were you to try again, or should I say rise again? Maybe, just maybe the Nosferatu could be stopped. Our fate is in your hands.
Yes, you see, the game is brutally difficult if you don't know what you're doing. So what I'm actually going to do is I have another save. Let's see if I have something in mid, day one, end. So we basically saw everything that there was to see, but I'm concerned I may have missed something in one of my previous playthroughs. I don't really want to go through day one all over again. So I think we should be good, though. But let's go to day one end, because I don't have the patience to go through all this over again. So let's make sure, see what our inventory looks like. So basically what would have happened here is I would have gone to see Dr. Seward at the asylum. You had been introduced to him. And then I would have gone to the bookstore late at night to see what Horner is up to. And so you missed 2 scenes, but it's not worth going through all of that, the entire game again. So I would have seen those 2 scenes and then come home. And remember I wrote that letter to Father Janos before? Well, he finally responded. Or maybe this is the end. Maybe I'd already read it. I apologize. Yep. So let's go actually to sleep.
Oh. And a set?
Uh-oh, another bad dream. Okay, so start of day 2. And just to make sure that everything worked correctly, yep, I seem to have, I got the rose. I must have given that cross to Anisette. And essentially what the cross did was it stopped Dracula from coming in and getting her on that evening. So we look good for day 1 right now. I'm going to stop the recording, and then in a moment I will start day 2.